Well, hello there and welcome to a brand new section. This is the jQuery user interface, or more commonly referred to as jQuery UI. So as it says right here on the jQuery UI official website, jQuery UI is a curated set of user interface interactions, effects, widgets, and themes built on top of the jQuery JavaScript library. Whether you're building highly interactive web applications or you just need to add a date picker to a form control, jQuery UI is the perfect choice. I almost nailed that. So yeah, basically it says it all right there, but essentially the idea is that jQuery is awesome, but the jQuery team has made it even better by building, a set of themes and actions and interactions that you can pick and choose which ones you want to use to easily do different sort of interactions that you want to build within your websites or web applications. So here in just the sidebar, you can see different interactions such as draggable, droppable, resizable, selectable, sortable, and they do what you would expect them to do based on the names. So you could drag things around, you could drop them, resize them, you could select, you could sort, can do accordions, you can do date pickers. So when you click on a date form, it will show you a calendar. You can do progress bars, sliders, spinners, tabs, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot that you can do, and we're going to be going through jQuery UI and the most popular and most commonly used effects and interactions in this section. So let's start with jQuery UI Draggable. But before we get there, we need to install jQuery UI. Thankfully, it's very easy. By now, you probably have a good grasp on how you download and install external third-party code, but we're going to go through it anyway, just in case you are unsure. Right here, jQueryUI.com, you can go ahead. First thing to let you do is just download jQuery UI. Now, you can do a custom download, or you could do quick downloads. Stable means the most stable version, and legacy is an older version of jQuery UI, just in case you built something on top of an old version and you're afraid the new version is going to throw you for some loops. Custom download is something that you would probably do once you're actually more familiar with jQuery UI, because it is still fairly large, because there are a lot of things in it, and you don't need everything. You may only need 4 things, like a date picker and a draggable section, where you don't need the dialogues and the progress bars and the sliders and the spinners and the buttons and autocomplete. You don't need all those things if you know you don't need them. But for us, we are going to just download the full version. So just click on the latest stable version, and that will download the latest stable version in a zip file. It's going to give you a zip file, and then you can unzip that zip file, and it will give you the folder, which is called jQuery UI, and in my case, 1.11.4. If you have a newer version, then great. If you have a newer version and you want to work with the same one as me, then you could probably download the legacy, click on legacy, and then choose the same version as me, which is 1.11.4. Okay, you're also going to want to create a jQuery UI folder where we're going to work in. And right now I've already got a few things set up. I've got a CSS and JS. You see I dragged in my jQuery, which I have from the previous, I copied over from the previous jQuery folder. I added the script.js, and I pulled in the jQuery UI folder right here so that I can reference it later. The other few housekeeping things you need to do is make sure that you've cleared out your script.js. It should be empty. It looks something like so. Just kind of empty basic. I have the jQuery function call there to work with, calling jQuery. And styles, I have some styles pre-built here in the course files that you downloaded right at the beginning of this section. Just pull in the styles.css from that final course files folder into your CSS folder here so that you will have the same styles, because we won't be fiddling around with CSS here. We're just going to focus on jQuery UI to cut straight to the point. So quick little review before we get jumping into Draggable here. Download jQuery UI. Create a jQuery UI folder that you're going to work with in this section. In there, add CSS and JS folder. CSS is going to have normalize and styles.css. Probably copy those from the newest course files that you just downloaded in the previous lecture. And JS, you're going to want to drag in the jQuery UI folder. You're going to want to add the jQuery local JS file and add a script.js that we're going to be working with. And then create yourself in your code editor a draggable.html file, or copy it from the course files. Kind of probably the best method so you don't miss out on something. And it's just got, just to show you, it's got a couple links to normalize and styles, and this is new now. Pay attention to this. jQuery UI CSS. We need to link in the CSS provided by jQuery UI. So here in the jQuery UI folder, we have jQuery UI CSS and a min version, as you can see here. Now, I like using the minified version. So use the jQuery, use the CSS that you prefer to use. If you want to check out to see what their styles look like, then you could use the full version. But I like using the minified version for quicker loading time. And then at the footer, first you load jQuery CDN, then the local version if the CDN fails, then load jQuery UI, the JS. So JS, jQuery UI, jQuery UI.min.js, and then load your custom script file. So a few more things now that you have to add. So make sure you've got all that covered. Now I'm going to assume at this point you've got everything covered. If not, rewind and go back and make sure you have everything just so. If all else fails, download the course files and just copy the whole thing right into your code editor, and then get yourself up to speed to where we are right now. Draggable.html. So we've got everything hooked up in here. Now what we want to do is go to your script.js. And let me just show you here what the final just kind of canvas looks like, I guess you could say. jQuery UI Draggable. I've got a few boxes here, and I got them styled just so, box with different colors. I got the cursor pointer here, the pointer cursor, I guess you'd call it. And so we're going to be using these to drag them around. Now, let's start with the basic way to invoke the draggable jQuery UI function or method. And so I'm going to select just all the boxes, so the class of box, and then draggable. Save that. Now let's check it out in our browser here. Now start dragging these bad boys around. You could drag them around wherever you want, as you can see there. Pretty cool, hey? All right, now I'm going to refresh, put them back in their place. There's another one that you could do is, in Draggable, there's a number of different arguments and parameters that you can add, such as allowing it to scroll the contained box. You can constrain the draggable elements to X or Y axis or to a container, and a few other things that you can do that are really cool. I'm just going to cover the basic ones here. So Draggable, I'm going to do the, I'm going to scroll. I'm going to copy this out. Select box 1, and in the parentheses, 2 curly braces. In between those curly braces, scroll true. That's going to say that box 1 will allow the container to scroll. So I'm going to refresh. I'm going to pull this box down until it reaches the end of this container, and it's going to start scrolling the content or the box. And that's if you want to be able to scroll that box. And so it's just a little thing. You might want to be able to do it. I can also scroll it this way. And that's because I have the CSS set up that this box is a fixed height and width, and it says overflow auto. And that means when you pull this box past the constrained size, it will start scrolling the container. Another thing that you can do is have a constrained movement. And that basically means you can constrain the box to a specific direction to scroll or drag. So I'm going to say box 2, draggable axis or axes, however you want to say it. Strings, I'm going to say the X axis. Save that, and now refresh. Box 2 can only be dragged left and right horizontally, not up and down, as you can see. You see how that works? And you can also, I'm going to copy and paste. I'm going to say box 3, axis Y. So now this guy can only be dragged up and down. And so that like kind of works if you want to be able to just move your elements in specific axes. And the other type of containment that you can do is literally called containment. And you can contain your box, the draggable functionality, to a specific container. It could be a parent, so the parent container, or a specific element. So I'm going to say box 4, draggable, and I'm going to say containment, and then you just say the ID or the class or the element that you want it to contain to. So I'm going to say container. That is the class that we have wrapping all the content. So now try and drag box 4 around. You see it doesn't scroll the content and it stays within the container. Pretty neat. And you can also just say containment parent, and that will keep it constrained to its parent. You could use the class here or the ID, the different element, if you want to contain it to a very specific element that is maybe not its parent. Maybe it's grandparent or maybe it's sibling or whatever. So that is how those work. Now you can learn more about jQuery UI Draggable at jQueryui.com/draggable. And it has everything here in the API and covers the stuff that we just talked about, the scrolling, the constraining the movement. You can also constrain, you can just test them out here in the demos. And then all you have to do if you want to see the different things that you can do and you want to see the code, you just click view source and it will show you the code that is in this demo here so that you can see how it all works and you can take Draggable to new heights. So hang tight, more jQuery UI coming up.